All right, what's happening? We are now going to look at the modes. The modes are a series of 7 scales. On the guitar, we typically will find that 5 of these 7 patterns are most applicable. However, when you look at your scale sheet, you will see that I have noted the roots of the 2 scale patterns that we will not address in this particular video. The Locrian mode and the Lydian mode are more conducive to some very specific styles. So if you need them, they're in there. The Locrian is contained within the Aeolian and Ionian modes, and the Lydian is contained within the Phrygian and Mixo-Lydian modes. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then you're probably not going to have to worry about it. Okay? So here's the first thing we're going to do now. Now that you may be a little overwhelmed by all these Greek words, I'm going to break it down for you and make it a whole lot more accessible, I promise. In fact, yes, that is where the modes come from. The names are Greek in origin. The Aeolian mode is also just known as the minor scale, or more specifically, the natural minor scale. We have many kinds of minor scales. We have the harmonic minor and the melodic minor. But the natural minor scale is the one that we are all very familiar with. We've all heard it. And then the Ionian mode is the major scale. And that's where do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do comes from. Okay? The Aeolian and Ionian modes are very common to our ears. We're very accustomed to them. And what we're doing with the guitar is we're using these modal patterns very much the same way that we use the pentatonic scales. We're going to take the forms and use them to be able to play across the neck of the guitar without getting lost. So the first thing we're going to look for are patterns within the modes that already exist in our heads from the pentatonics, of the pentatonic scale forms. And we're working, by the way, in E minor, G major again. The guitarist's favorite keys because we can use all the open strings. So we're going to take form 1 of the pentatonic scale, the minor pentatonic form. And by just adding a few notes to that, we end up with the Aeolian or the natural minor scale. So here's my pentatonic. Now, that was open 3, open 2, open 2, open 2, open 3, open 3, right? Now we're going to go open 2, 3, open 2, 3, open 2, 4. We get some bigger stretches in these. Open 2, open 1, 3, open 2, 3. There it is again. Always play it in both directions. They say if you can play something forward, you should be able to play it backwards without really giving it much thought. That seems counterintuitive, but think of walking backwards. If you think about walking backwards, you get all messed up, right? But when you just walk backwards, it happens. So what does that tell you? Trust your reflexes. So now the Ionian mode is very much like form 2 of the pentatonic. So here's the form 2 major pentatonic. 2 4 1 4 1 4 1 3 2 4 2 4. Now we go 2 4 1 2 4 1 3 4 1 3 4 2 4 1 2 4. Seems like a lot of 2s and stuff in there. So here's a pattern that you can find. Look at your sheet, you'll see it. Your top 2 and bottom 2 strings, the pattern is 2 4 1 2 4. In the middle is 1 3 4. Just an example. As always, look for patterns. That's going to be your key. 2 4 1 2 4 1 3 4 1 3 4 2 4 1 2 4. Dorian mode. This one does not look like form 3. Now, I'm going to give you a note about the Dorian mode and the Mixolydian mode, the way I give them to you. What I'm interested in doing is putting you in a position where your position on the neck is dictated by where you start, the lowest note. The lowest note from which you start is what we're basing how we lay out this form. There are other ways to play the Dorian and Mixolydian mode where you move out of position, which you experienced when we did form 3 of the pentatonic. And when you did that, you may have experienced, hey, this is kind of tricky moving out of position. Because of that, I'm trying to put us in a position where we are launched, more or less, from our starting position up. Even on the Mixolydian mode, where we will, again, move out of position up the neck. Up and down, that's what you hear, not what you see. Don't forget, Here's the Dorian mode. Now, Dorian mode, here's one little clumping mechanism. That is one little trick to help memorize it. The Dorian mode has no second finger moves in it. Everything is 1, 3, 4, except on the third string is just 1, 3. And in the middle of the neck, you're going to be making a bigger stretch. You'll see, watch my hand. So it's 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, big stretch, 4, 1, 3, big stretch, 4, 1, 3, and then within the range. So coming back down, you might go 4, 2, 1, that's okay. Okay, again, here we go. Now, one thing to note is when forms in these modes overlap, which they really do. The Aeolian and the Ionian overlap quite a bit. They share more than one note. Like the pentatonics, typically we're sharing just a note at the bottom with the form below, and note at the top with the form above. Aeolian and Ionian, they share more than a note. They overlap. You're going to see the same thing with the Dorian into the Phrygian here. So if you know your Dorian, you know half your Phrygian. I'm going to show you like this. Phrygian looks like form 4 of the pentatonic with some notes added. So this is the other one that resembles a pentatonic form. And this one, like the Ionian, the only other mode that doesn't have a big stretch in it, stays within that 4-finger, 4-fret stretch. This is a real popular one, just like form 4 of the pentatonic. This is a real popular one to work in. There are reasons why that I won't approach right now, but it's based on theory, so learn your theory. Okay, so here it is. 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4. On the third string, you have 1, 3. That happens in a few different modes, so keep an eye on that pattern as well. Don't forget to breathe. You may have even caught me taking a breath right there. You'll begin to recognize when you're concentrating and you're starting to hold your breath. So when you recognize that, when you catch that, be sure to get in the habit then of taking a breath. That helps you with the dynamic tension of playing. That is just enough tension to play, no more, no less, right? Too much, and you're tense. You're not fluid. You can't move well. Too little tension, and you're not focusing. That groove is right between absolute tension and absolute relaxation. Always we're going back to the beginner's mind and trying to recognize these tendencies in ourselves. So here, I've been playing guitar for 40-something years. I still have to remind myself sometimes to take a breath. You can practice this, by the way, by filming yourself, and that'll help you with working on stage. There's just a free tip out there, okay? So from the Phrygian now, at the top of that positioning, we're going to go to the Mixolydian. Mixolydian, a lot of people have trouble with this one, no matter how they learn it, okay? But the way I'm giving it to you, again, we're launching from this initial position, and everything is moving above that. So there is a move out of position on the third string. We're going to move up a fret and do a couple little tricky moves right there. And I'm going to give you a tip for that, don't worry. But otherwise, everything else, all 4 other strings are that 5-fret stretch that you've seen now with 1, 3, 4. Then we move up, and then we're back into position. Again, coming down in that 5-fret stretch. If you're more comfortable coming down with 4, 2, 1, do so. The reason for that is that it's easier to hit the adjacent finger when you're leading into the next one. Okay, so going up 1, 3, 4 is easier to make that stretch because you can pivot off of that 3. Coming down 4, 2, 1, you're pivoting off the second finger. So it's easier to make that move. It's not as big a strain on your hand. And you, of course, want to be careful about how you treat your hands because you're a guitar player. 4 out of 6 strings are that 1, 3, 4 stretch. On the third and second strings, we're doing this 1, 2, 4, 2, 3 out of position, 1 fret higher than the rest of the moves. So you can just sit here and do this and really lock it in. 1, 2, 4, 2, 3. plop that back in. That's an example of breaking it down, something I'm always telling people to do. When you really take that to heart, you will find ways to learn songs, scales, to learn chord progressions, whatever it is you're working on, much more quickly, because you will hone in on what is most challenging and recognize that that is the key to your improvement, and you'll spend a little bit of extra time on that. That'll lift everything else up with it. Always keep that in mind. Whatever is challenging you, that's your key to improvement. You are not denying yourself work on the easier parts by focusing more on the harder parts. You are lifting up the easier parts by focusing more on the harder parts. Here it is again, the Mixolydian mode. 1-3, stretch to 4, 1-3, stretch to 4. 1-3, stretch to 4, move up out of position. 1-2, 4-2-3, back into position. 1-3, stretch to the 4. One more time. I'm playing them fast in the interest of your time with this video. You'll be able to pause it and all kinds of stuff. You can look at your sheet, work it through. Slow and accurate, feeling your fingertips on the fretboard. That triggers your brain's reflex memory and that sort of thing. All right? Slow and accurate above speed. Speed should be a byproduct of good technique. Okay? We're not trying to be me. Please don't be yourself. Okay? That's the best way to do it. And at the 12th fret, just like the pentatonics, we have, in this case, the Aeolian mode. All right? That's your modes, 5 of the 7 modes in E minor, G major. These change keys exactly like the pentatonics. There are other theoretical applications for all of these scale patterns that I've given you, and I'm going to give you 2 more bonus scales that will work much like the ones I've given you in that they will resemble other scale patterns that you've already learned. But for now, this is the gist of what you need to be able to work all over the fretboard. Next thing you're going to need is some real basic theory. What are the root notes on the 5th and 6th strings of your guitar? That's going to help you move around bar chords and jazz chords, which are not necessarily bar chords. And the 6th string roots are going to help you move around your scales to change keys. So learn some basic theory. Start with piano, that's what it's all based on. And then you can apply that basic theory to guitar through a very straightforward method of Spanish-style classical guitar. So if you want to know more about that, look me up or watch for more content that I'm putting out there, and I'm happy to help you. Enjoy, jam, take care of yourself.